All right, so just as a reminder, step one, get all the variables on one side, constants on the other. Step two, which we will need today, as needed, divide both sides by a to make x squared 1. Step 3, complete the square by adding half of b squared to both sides of the equation. Factor, take the square root, and solve. So I had asked you guys to start number 1, so let's get started. Landon, is it set up in step 1? Are all the x's on one side, constant on the other?
Yeah.
Yes. Is A1?
Yeah.
So are you ready to complete the square?
Yeah.
Yep. So let me give myself a little bit of space. You took half of what number?
8.
Negative 8.
Negative.
And what's half of negative 8?
Negative 4.
And you're going to add negative 4.
Square.
Whatever you add to one side, you do to the other. Okay, what did this side factor into, Landon?
I didn't get that.
What was that?
I didn't know.
Okay, what would this factor into? It's always this.
Oh. X minus 4.
I was just saying, like, okay,
Yeah,
you didn't ask me any questions in your homework. All right. And now the right side. This is negative 16 plus what?
Plus 16.
Plus 16. And what's negative 16 plus 16? 0. Okay, what are you going to do now?
Add, or square root.
Square root both sides. When you do, what do you get over here?
X minus 4.
And what do you get on the other side?
0.
Yeah, and guys, is there such thing as plus or minus 0? No. I mean, you can leave it there if you want. I'll show you how we can leave it there. But you don't have to. There's only going to be one answer. Watch. What are you going to do now?
Add 4.
Add 4. And how do I have you write the answer? I always just say put 4 plus or minus 0. Well, guys, what's 4 plus 0? 4. What's 4 minus 0?
4. What did you say?
It's just 4. Okay? I would have at this step just put x minus 4 equals 0 because there is no plus or negative 0. And then add 4 and you get x equals 4. Questions? Are we good on A? Okay. Let's take a look then at B and see how B might be different. Is step 1 done for us? So, Jillian, is step 1 done for you, Jill? Is all the x's on one side is your constant on the other? Yes. Okay. Is A 1? No. So what are we going to do to make A 1? Okay. It's what does it say here for step 2? As needed, divide by A. Okay. So what's the value of A? 3. So we're just going to divide everything by 3. Now remember, when you do this, guys, you got to do all the terms in the equation by 3. So now, Jill, when you do, what do you get here? X squared minus 8x equals what? 9. Let you guys go ahead and finish it from here. Finish it from here. Mr. Labber cracks me up. Oh my gosh, my room is really warm. If you guys thought my room is warm,
That's cool.
all right. 7. This period 6. All right, are you guys done? Uh-oh. All right. I got.
We'll see.
AJ. Oh, were you one that was arguing?
Nah, I'm confident.
You're confident.
Yeah.
All right. What are you going to take half of?
-8, which is -4.
And you're going to add -4 squared. Whatever you add to one side, do the other. What does this side factor into, AJ?
X minus 4.
Okay. And then this is 9 plus what?
16.
What's 9 plus 16?
25.
Now what'd you do?
So then you do x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus 5.
Yeah, take the square root. X minus 4 equals plus or minus 5. Now, so many of you are skipping this next step, and then you're making a stupid mistake on the next one. Lucas. Call him out. Okay. What do we do now?
Subtract 4. Wait, no, add 4.
I was going to say, that's the dumb mistake he was making. All right, what do you get?
4 plus or minus 5.
All right, so now we're going to write that x is either what?
9.
4 plus 5 or 4 minus 5. So you're going to tell me x is either 9 or what? Who were you arguing with? Landon? And Quinn?
I just let it multiply the -4 squared to the other side.
Ah, yes. Whatever you do to one side, got to do the other. What'd you do, Mark?
I didn't divide the 8 by 2.
Oh, yeah. Got to take half of that middle term. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to do C, and then we're going to move on. Don't do D, because we're going to move on. Let's do C. See if you guys can do C on your own. What's step 1? What's step 1?
Gotta get 15 over there.
Nothing. I'm just trying to see if I want to text Mr. Mike.
That's a mic on, doesn't sound.
Testing it out. I was trying to see if it was hot in my room.
We can hear you.
The Tommy was grouping it up, and that I was hot, and then I'm 53. That sometimes is why I'm hot. What? The boys are like, huh?
This boxer's room is like the most. It's so cold in there.
Yeah, her room is freezing.
It's horrible.
Yes, Lily did this wrong.
Did it wrong?
I could. AJ, what did you do? Tell me what you got.
Tight.
Yeah.
What'd you do first?
Subtract 15.
And you get what?
3x squared plus 12x equals -15.
Okay, what do you do now?
Divide by 3.
And you have to divide all terms by 3. When you do, what do you get?
X squared plus 4x equals -5.
Okay, so did you guys at least get it this far set up? You cannot complete the square until x is on one side, constant on the other, and a is 1. Life is easy. Okay, now what do we do?
Oh, you gotta add plus 2 squared.
Add 2 squared. When you add 2 squared, what do you get over here?
X plus 2 squared.
Quantity squared. And what do you get over here? This is -5 plus,
4.
which is what?
-1.
-1. What are you going to do now?
Square both sides.
Square root both sides. When you do, what do you get over here?
X plus 2.
What do you get over here?
I.
What do you put out front?
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus. What's the square root of -1? I.
Big.
Now what do you do?
Subtract 2.
And when you subtract 2, how do I write my final answer?
X equals -2 plus or minus I.
Perfect. Okay, questions on C. Oh, okay. We're going to go now to what we say call writing it in vertex form. Recall that vertex form is the form y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. It is helpful because when we look at this form, we can say, we know exactly what the vertex is. For example, if I give you this equation, you guys would know that this graph vertically stretched by 2, doesn't change our vertex, shifted which way? Right 4 and up 3. So what's the vertex? 4, 3. Okay, so you can quickly see it. If it's given to you in this form, you can't tell what the vertex is. You'd have to do opposite of b over 2a, plug that back in, and it's a lot more work. Okay, so if we can get it into vertex form, we can quickly see what the vertex is. So write this equation in vertex form and identify the vertex. We can do this very easily by completing the square. Okay, it's just a little bit different because notice I have y over here. I don't have a number. All of these problems, I had a number or maybe a letter over here and you had to move things around. This one, I have y equals. So here's what we're going to do. What you do is you group these two together. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to say x squared minus 12x. I'm going to leave a space and put plus 18. Is A 1? A is 1. That's good. So I'm going to take half of my middle number. What's half of negative 12? And I'm going to add negative 6 squared. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Now, this right side, what does this factor into? X minus 6 quantity squared plus 18. Are you guys cool with how I got the right side? Now, the left side, what is negative 6 squared? What's negative 6 times negative 6? 36 plus, I needed to say y equals. So what do you do to make it say y equals? Subtract 36. Now I'm going to put the 36 over here. And when I do, I get y equals x minus 6 squared. And then what would this give me when I take 18 minus 36? Minus 18. This is vertex form. It'll be a little trickier when A is not 1, but I don't think this is bad. What is the vertex? Well, which way did this one shift? Right 6 and what's your vertex? Because it says state the vertex. Thoughts on A? Okay. B. I'll get you started. Group those together. Now, this says f of x is the same as y. Don't treat it any differently. Leave some space. Go. See if you guys can get this one. Miss Laura, what did you do? This isn't that hard. You're going to take half of, is A1?
Yeah.
Take half of what number?
6.
What's half of 6?
3.
You're going to add 3 squared. Whatever you add to one side,
Gotta do it to the other.
gotta do it to the other. Okay, what does this side factor into?
X plus 3 squared.
X plus 3 squared plus 4. Okay, on the left side, what is 3 squared?
9.
9 plus f of x. Now you need that f of x to get all by itself, so what are you going to do?
I subtract 9.
And when you subtract 9, what do you get for an answer?
Negative 5.
F of x equals x plus 3 squared minus 5. So, what's my vertex, everybody? Which way did this shift? Left 3, down 5. So what's my vertex? Questions on this? Okay. Well, what's going to happen if we have an A in front of there? Okay. Everybody good with B? Let's go back to C. Well, we're still going to group these two together. But I can't divide by 3. Because if you divide by 3, how do you divide g of x by 3? You can't. Okay, so we got to leave g of x by itself. So here's what you do. You factor out a. Watch. I'm going to write g of x equals. I'm going to factor out a from just the first two terms. Don't worry about this, the constant, the 7. Just the first two terms. So when I take 3 out of here, what do you guys have left? X squared minus 6x. I'm going to leave some space plus 7. Okay, is everybody okay with what I did so far? Just factor out a from just the first two terms. Now we're going to complete the square. What's half of negative 6? Negative 3, and we're going to add negative 3 squared. However, you are not going to just add negative 3 squared to the other side, because what did you really add over here? Well, we added negative 3 squared, which is what? But you really added 3 times 9, which is what? So do you guys see how you really added 27 over here? So what are you going to add over here? I have to add 27. Does everybody see where I got that 27? Okay, because I added 3 squared, negative 3 squared, that's 9, but it's 3 times 9, which is 27. So to keep it balanced, add 27 to the other side. Now it's just the same. I have 3 on the outside. What does this factor into? X minus 3 quantity squared plus 7. I still have 27 plus g of x. What are you guys going to do now to get g of x by itself? Subtract 27. And when you do, you get g of x equals 3 times x minus 3 squared minus what? Is that vertex form? What's the 3 out front going to make it do? Vertical stretch. The minus 3. Right 3, down 20. What's the vertex? 3, negative 20. Oh, gee whiz. Okay, you guys look at the next one and go. Is there another one?
Yep.
Yep. Pencil's getting slammed down. Out.
So you got
No, John, what'd you get?
what'd you get?
All right, ready? Let's go. Jarrett. Jarrett, what did you factor out?
The 2.
And when you did, what'd you have left?
X squared minus 4x.
And then leave that 3 there. So you only pull that 2 out of the first two terms. Now you're ready to complete the square. You're going to take half of what number?
-4.
What's half of -4?
-2.
-2
Squared.
squared. Now, what is -2 squared?
4.
But you really multiplied 2 times 4, so what did you really add?
8.
So what do you add over here?
8.
Okay, so let's go ahead and factor this side. What does this factor into?
2 times x minus 2 squared plus 3.
Okay, and then what'd you do to get the 8 out of the way here?
Subtracted 8 from 3.
And what'd you get?
G of x equals 2 times x minus or squared minus 5.
Okay. How'd you guys do?
Really good.
What'd you mess up on?
I did, instead of -2 squared, I did -4.
Up half a B. Half a B. Don't forget, half of that middle. Okay, now which way does this shift? Right to down 5. What's your vertex? To -5. Questions? Okay, word problem. Oh, jeez. Is there a word problem there? Okay. The height and speed of a baseball, t seconds after it can be hit, can be modeled by this function. -t squared plus 96t plus 3. Find the maximum height. How long does it take it to hit the ground? Now, some of you are like, oh, okay, how long does it take it to reach the height? That would be the what? Or what's the maximum height? I'm sorry, what's that? What do we call that? That's the what? I heard somebody say the y.
Intercept over.
The y coordinate of the what? Vertex. Okay, how long does it take it to hit the ground? So you're hitting a baseball. We want to know when it hits the ground. That's the what? X-intercept. Okay, or the solution, right? Solve it. Solve it. Okay. So here's there's lots of different ways to do this. Here's how I would do this. Since we're writing it in vertex form, that's what they want you to do. Write it in vertex form. Let's group these two together. What's a -16? So let's pull out -16. When you factor out a -16, what is left? T squared minus 6t, leave some space, plus 3. Because think about redistributing. Then give me -16t squared, and then a negative times a negative is a positive, and 16 times 6 is 96. All right. Now we're going to take half of what number? What's half of -6? And we're going to add -3 squared. But what is -3 squared? But you really multiplied what? You really multiplied -16 times 9. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
So what did you really give over here? You really added -44. So what are you going to add over here? -144. Do you guys see how I got that number? All right, let's factor this right side. -16 times t. Factor it. T what? -3 squared plus 3. I got the -144. How do you move the -144 over? Add it. Add 144. So when I do, I get y equals -16 times t minus 3 quantity squared plus what? Is everybody good so far? Okay, now let's take a look at this. Where is the vertex? So we just did a whole bunch of these where you guys identified the vertex. What is the vertex? 3, 147. So over here at 3, 147, that's the vertex. What is the maximum height? Good. So the maximum height is 147 and the units would be feet. Are we good with the first half? Now, people want to double 3 and tell me that the ball is in the air for 6 seconds, and that is not correct. And the reason it's not correct is notice my y-intercept was at what? How do you find the y-intercept? Remember, y-intercept is 0c. What's my y-intercept? 3. So it is not symmetrical about the vertex. Do you see that? Because here's my other x-intercept. Do you guys see it? So it's not symmetric. It's not the distance. I'll show you the distance from here to here is not the distance the same as the distance from here to here. So you can't just double it. You see that? Okay, so with that in mind, we got to now solve this. So what are we going to let y be? 0. So now we're going to come in and we're say 0 equals negative 16 times t minus 3 squared plus 147. I can now use square roots because I've got t minus 3 squared. How do I use square roots? What are you guys going to do first? We need to isolate this quantity. What are you going to do first? Minus the 147. So I get negative 147 equals negative 16 times t minus 3 squared. What are you going to do now? Divide by what? Now, that's going to give you an ugly decimal. So I'm just going to leave 147 over 16. Why did I make it positive? Negative divided by negative is a positive. How do I undo t minus 3 quantity squared? Square root. And now what do I put out front? Plus or minus. And now I can go to my calculator. And I'm going to do the square root of 147 divided by 16. And when I do, I got 3.003. Did you guys get 3.03? And that has the plus or minus on it. What do you do now? Add 3. Now, this is where I've always told you, what do you put out front? 3 plus or minus 3.03. So t is either 3 plus 3.03 or t is 3 minus 3.03. What's this time? 6.03. What's this time? Uh-oh. Can time be negative? Look, it's a solution. What I tell you the other one was over there. It's a negative x-intercept. That makes sense. It's just not a solution in terms of the context of this problem. This time can't be negative. All right, now, sometimes what happens when I do these problems, I purposely left D off because I want to go back and pick up D. Because I show you those hard ones, we come back to this one and you throw everything I taught you right out the window. Step 1. X is on one side, constants on the other. 2x squared minus 20x equals what? Step 2 is A1. What are you guys going to do now since A is not 1? Divide all pieces by 2. X squared minus 10x equals. This is solved by completing the square. What are you going to do now? Take half of What's half of negative 10?
-5.
Now you're going to add negative 5 squared to each side. Right? When you do, what does this side factor into? X minus 5 squared. What is negative 30 plus 25? It's okay. What do you do now? Square root. Now, when you take the square root, this left side is x minus 5. What do you have to put out front here? And what's that negative get kicked out as? Now, so many of you are kicking this out as an I and losing your square root. That 5 is still under the square root. Now, what do you do with this? Add 5. And what's my answer? X equals 5 plus or minus I squared 5. So don't lose that process that we had done already. Okay, this worksheet has a back. Don't skip the back. All right. You got an extra one? Sorry. All right.